100 mile per gallon carburetor, 100 mile per gallon engine. Myth has been around forever. And in that it changes origin too on who designed it. Some people say it's Ford, some people say it's Chrysler, some people will say it's GM.
So you heard this before?
I have heard this before, yeah.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wrenches in my top drawer. This video I'm making because of a comment that we got on the last video.
Oh yeah.
And let's go ahead and look at this comment.
Okay.
This person says, "No way would I ever consider buying a GM product. My father worked for GM for 40 years and said the company was being run by dumb ASS bean counters. He said they designed a gas engine that got 100 miles per gallon and GM shelved it. My dad designed an inexpensive plug-in alternator that could easily be replaced by plugging it in. GM shelved it as it would eat into its refurbishing, rebuilding of alternators, etc. that GM had in place. My father designed the cold press forming machines that stamp out body panels for GM and has his name on many GM patents. GM is still using his designs. My father's last car purchase before his death at age 83 was a Honda. That says it all. Not one of his children, including myself, drive GM vehicles, nor will we ever. When GM went bankrupt, my father lost $5 million in stocks. What a SHIT company. Oh my gosh. Dane, what do you think about this comment?
Wow. Well, that's a 100 mile per gallon carburetor, 100 mile per gallon engine. Myth has been around forever. And in that it changes origin too on who designed it. Some people say it's Ford, some people say it's Chrysler, some people will say it's GM.
So you heard this before?
I have heard this before. Yeah. If you do like a Google, like I've not heard it so much the engine as I have the carburetor, like the 100 mile per gallon carburetor, the carburetor that was, just so ahead of its time and that it would get 100 mile a gallon. And since it was so good, the companies knew they would go bankrupt and the oil industry hated it. So there was this big conspiracy. The oil industry was, buying these patents and killing them so they would never see the light of day. So consumers would have to buy more oil. Give me a break, man.
That's what I wanted to say.
You're right. This has been around for a long, long time. And it really just need to break it down. It takes X amount of units of energy to propel a vehicle that weighs X amount, that has X amount of coefficient of drag, and so on and so forth. Really, this comes down to just math. And to make a 100 mile per gallon engine in a vehicle, it needs to be very lightweight, very aerodynamic, very small displacement. So while maybe something like that did exist, it wouldn't be able to compete with the vehicles that we have on the road today in any shape or form. To go further, Honda actually, was it Honda or was it Toyota? God, I wish I knew the exact on this, but there was a vehicle made, I think it was Honda, that had like a solar roof, and they tried making it go like 200 and some mile, they wanted to get over 200 miles per gallon on this vehicle. So it had these little hybrid systems, but it was like a 0.9 liter engine or 1 liter engine at a top speed of like 55 mile an hour. It was just the bare bones monocoque, so one seat, no seats next to you on the sides. Like that's what it takes to get 100 miles a gallon. That's just the math of it. So while his dad's probably a really smart guy, some of the information I'm guessing getting back to him wasn't true. And then we can both vouch for inside of any giant corporation in the auto industry, there's a lot of people at the top that make a lot of decisions that don't know anything about what goes on inside of those walls, don't know anything about the product that's being made. So that's true.
All right. So let me look at this logically, right? I don't believe it at all. I don't think it's possible. Number one, from what you were saying. And number two, if it were possible for them to make a vehicle that could get 100 miles per gallon, don't you think that they could dial back whatever they were doing and make a vehicle that got 50 miles per gallon? Doesn't that make more sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that would solve all their EPA problems. That would get them a whole bunch of sales. I mean, look, Toyota just came out with the new Camry, which is going all hybrid, and that gets 50 miles per gallon. That was like a few days ago. I'm assuming this car he's talking about came out like like, well, not came out, but was designed like 15, 20 years ago. I don't believe it. It doesn't make sense.
No, no. Or the rumor I always knew about the 100 mile per gallon carburetor was like originated like in the 70s.
70s.
Yeah, right. And that
That's
rumor's just
50 years ago.
no, that rumor's just stuck around forever.
Yeah, I
And
don't believe this. All right, so but Dane, I gotta tell you something.
yeah.
And I never told anybody this before.
Oh man,
But
we're
my
gonna.
uncle used to work at Chrysler as an
Uh-oh.
engineer,
Hmm.
and he designed the first fuel injector. But this
Really?
fuel injector was so good, it actually ran, the car was so good, it actually runs on cereal.
Oh
Yeah, you
no.
just pour the cereal in there, Cheerios, and it gives
Yep.
100 miles per box of Cheerios. But they didn't come out with it
Yep.
because they were signed up with Fruity Pebbles, and they bought the patents, and it just never came out. It was a shame.
Never seen a light of day. We knew we'd lose our butts if we just let that ever get out. So
They let it slip through their hands, and my uncle, he retired. He had $20 million in stock.
oh man, just lost it all.
He lost
Yeah.
it all, and that's why we only buy Toyotas now in my family.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of these stories. Like I said, and believe what you want. We're people that have been behind those doors. There's a lot of those rumors. Like I said, you know, most famously, like I said, you and I have been at Cummins together, and there's stories from behind those walls that who knows.
You know what
Yeah,
I don't believe? How did
what's
his
that?
dad had $4 million in stock, and he was an engineer? I mean, engineers get paid pretty well, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
That
I'm
sounds like a lot
guessing.
of money.
Yeah, I'm guessing. He probably so GM, especially considering his dad's age, was really good about hiring people young and then keeping them for their full career. So there's a lot of guys retiring with over 40 years or more of experience, and they were paid really, really, really well. Think of they're making like 35, $40 an hour in the 70s and 80s, which is incredible. Making that kind of money today would be amazing.
So you think
And
that part could be true?
yeah, I think yeah, I don't think that's exaggerated. And
Oh,
then if he's been there that long too, and if he was good at his job, he might have worked his way into a management position that had stock options. And if you let those things continue to grow over time from a long time ago, think over 20, 30 years of growth, yeah, it's very possible you could have had that kind
oh,
of
okay.
stock
Well,
growth.
Dane believes that part of the story. Okay.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I think you're mostly there. I don't think you're wrong for hating a big company and understanding all these, rumors that come out of there. And you have your biases. I have mine. MJ's got his. So he's not too far up. But let's be real here. The math doesn't line up. This 100 mile per gallon motor or carburetor. It just